The Pentagon sending 200 personnel and missile defense equipment to Saudi Arabia following the oil attacks on oil facilities earlier this month, which the Trump administration has blamed on Iran. This coming as the regime continues to break from the nuclear deal. The Iranian president confirming Tehran's use of advanced centrifuge models to enrich uranium. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin is live at the Pentagon with the latest. Jennifer.
Melissa, last Friday, the Defense Secretary and Joint Chiefs Chairman announced they would be deploying more assets to the Middle East. Now we know what the Pentagon will be sending. Let's just say it is extremely small in nature and indicative of how the U.S. does not want to have to send more troops to a region where there are already 60,000 American troops serving. The Pentagon will deploy 1 Patriot battery, 4 Sentinel radars, approximately 200 support personnel. Quote, the Secretary has also approved putting additional forces on prepare to deploy orders. While no decision has been made to deploy these additional forces, they will maintain a heightened state of readiness. The White House pushed back today on Iran's President Hassan Rouhani, saying that President Trump had offered to lift all sanctions against Iran in exchange for talks. Quote, Iran wanted me to lift the sanctions imposed on them in order to meet. I said, of course, no. White House spokesman Hogan Gidley added, this is a flat-out lie. Rouhani wanted President Trump to remove the sanctions and end the maximum pressure campaign, and the president told them, no, absolutely not. Meantime, Iran finally released the British oil tanker it seized 2 months ago. The Stena Impero left the port of Bandar Abbas. Its crew will receive medical checks and a debriefing in Dubai. The Saudi foreign minister had harsh words for Iran at the UN.
It is a vile and cowardly regime which hides foe behind its affiliated militias, pushing them to claim responsibility for the Abqaiq and Karai oil installations, and before that on an oil pumping facility. That same regime views our states and peoples only as battlefield.
The U.S. would like others to step up to help it defend Saudi Arabia. The Pentagon believes Iran will keep trying to test the U.S. and its neighbors. Melissa?
Jennifer, thank you. For more on this, let's bring in retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. He's a senior fellow and military expert at Defense Priorities. Let me start with the beginning of that report, talking about the number of personnel. Jennifer described that as not very much, kind of reflecting how we feel about our commitment to defending the Saudis. Do you think that's appropriate?
Well, I mean, I can just tell you from a military perspective, that 1 missile battery isn't going to do anything. And as a matter of fact, even the facilities that were hit with weapons that Patriot battery won't shoot down. So it really is insignificant, and it doesn't even work. But the bigger issue, especially with regards to the military, is that there's no basis for us to send our military troops over there for any reason. Why would we want to risk having American soldiers die for someone we don't even have a treaty with? We don't have any kind of obligation. There's this comment that they're our allies. That's a very loose definition, because there is no like Article 5 of NATO kind of situation. So it's not appropriate for us to send our troops to defend the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
What about if you couple it with all of the events that have gone on in the region recently, whether you had Iran seizing the tankers or shooting down our drones, and then also doing this, that those who have been attacked most recently by Iran should sort of band together to say, you got to stop doing this?
Well, you're absolutely right. They are definitely connected. And it's the failure of this maximum security pressure campaign, which is actually a contributing factor to all of these problems. Because as you just reported there a second ago, Iran is continuing to move away from the agreements of the JCPOA. Well, the fact that they're moving out of it, and that's something we don't like, is evidence that it was actually performing a valuable service. And when all we do is to strangle them off from their economy, they don't have anywhere to go except for more provocative actions.
Let me ask you about that. I think you meant maximum pressure campaign, and you were talking about the sanctions probably. And doesn't it mean if they were desperate to stay in that deal and go back to that, it was working for them? I mean, we were promised anytime, anywhere inspections by Secretary Kerry and President Obama. That's not what happened. If they liked it so much, it must have been a great deal for them. That doesn't feel good to us.
Yeah, well, I honestly don't care anything about whether they thought it was a good deal or not. It was in our security interest, because look at what has happened since we got out of it. It has caused them to to increase their
But what do you think we were getting
perceptions.
from it? What was the benefit to us? The benefit to them was a bunch of money that they could use for terror, anything they wanted. We hoped that they would use the money to feed their people and help lift them up. They didn't do that. They funded terror. So what was the benefit to us of being in the deal?
Well, you're seeing it right now. We are actually at a risk of potentially going to war. We're sending our military troops over there in a situation that would not happen if we had not gotten out of that agreement. So it's being
So that's like
directly
blackmail. We do this other thing and then you don't hit us.
No, I don't agree with that at all. We made this deal so that they would be operating within it, and our own State Department validated that they were succeeding. They were staying within it.
Sure, because we couldn't look at anything. We couldn't verify. There were no anytime anywhere sanctions.
That's simply not accurate.
It is accurate. There were no anytime anywhere. Were there anytime anywhere inspections?
But there were a great deal of inspections. It was very intrusive.
There were limited inspections on facilities that they designated. We weren't allowed to go look at a whole bunch of places where we were wondering what was going on. Is that true or false?
Clearly, they were constrained.
Is
they
that
were
true or
definitely
false?
constrained. It's true that they were constrained, and now they're not.
Yeah. All right, sir. Thank you for coming on today. We appreciate your time.
Okay.